All right, guys, it is 5. We are live and we are ready to thrive. What's going on out there, MMA fans? What's up? We got MMA Newsroom. We need him in here with his what's up. Somebody just left. Give me a thumbs up and left, thanks. How's it going, guys? 5 o'clock. Who's here? Show yourself. Frozen screen already? Easy, fam. What's up, RS? RS, is my screen frozen? 9 people. What's going on, man? Well, thank you. You guys saved my life, man. That's about the greatest compliment that I can possibly get. Thank you, RS. Appreciate that. I'm booting up the iPad here. Man, what a day. What a weekend. What's going on in MMA? So many fights. And who's not promoting? My article earlier. Who's not promoting? I'm promoting the UFC. Where's Dana White? What's going on with... When was the last time we seen Dana White with a smile on his face? What's up, Fred the Shed? Thanks for tuning in, man. Well, I like what you do. Yeah, they're turning into an old person's product. That's what I've heard lately. They're comparing it to baseball. Their demographic is old people. How do you turn a fight sport into an old sport? That doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, I don't even understand how you could do that. How you could suck that bad. Oh man. What's up, Paul? What's up, Adam? Thanks for tuning in, man. I'm glad you saved my life by being here. Screen is fine. Thank you, LaJuan Williams. I don't know what's going on with that other comment. Somebody messing with me. Dahmer gang. Jon Jones back. Get that DC versus John match back on so DC can retire ASAP, says Paul. And Dana sold his soul to the devil, says Pulse Reloaded. So, weekend wrap up. We had a big live weekend, obviously, with the 2 cards, the Bellator card, the UFC card. What's going on in the Bellator tournament? Of course, Roy Nelson versus Matt Mitrione. We'll start out with that. A lot of people were saying that that should have been a draw because Roy Nelson, it should have been a 10-8 round in the 3rd round. I don't think it was enough for a 10-8 round because I don't think he was dominant in his positions, but I thought you could have argued for Roy Nelson winning the 1st round, even though I don't know that I would have scored it that way, and it wouldn't have been the worst decision ever. If Jon Jones is coming back, I hope they put him against Ryan Bader. Jon Jones needs to get fucked up. I love it. Dana White, the coke fiend, is going to have a heart attack one of these days. He gets redder every time I see him. Oh, hilarious. Hilarious, guys. I love it. But, yeah, Scott Coker, I've been one of the biggest proponents for Dana White, like, since the beginning, guys. Since the beginning. People have dissed on him. I've stood up for him because he gave me something I loved. He gave me something that I watched, as a child, something that gave me life as a child because I was bullied as a child. I was a bit standoffish. For a while, I was one of the only white kids in a school with a lot of Hispanics, and they liked to punch me in the face. They like to play this game called Punch Whitey. And so finally I learned some judo moves, and I started taking people down, and I learned a little boxing, and you throw a couple quick left hooks, and people kind of back off. But, and that's why I loved him for so long. So, but right now, I mean, he's frustrating me. The fighters are promoting themselves, and they're working their ass off. But, come on. Well, thank you, Adam. I hope you found UFC too. Paul says, I hate bullies. Stays with you for life. So you're a left hooker, RSS. Well, I don't mind that straight right hand either, but I am an orthodox for sure. Yeah, I got bullied. I mean, guys, they would just walk up to me and punch me right in the damn face. And then all of a sudden, you walk up to them one day when they do that, and you grab them and you throw them down to the ground and get on top of them, and it's like they don't like that too much. I'm not gonna get super political here, and I'm not gonna say this would end all the problems. But you take PE out of school. You don't have as many people in wrestling, you don't have boxing in school, and you have a bunch of school shootings. I'm not saying the two are correlated, but what if you gave those kids more of an outlet to get that aggression out? We are tribal. We have thousands and thousands of years in our DNA of going out and hunting and gathering and hunting and gathering. And now we sit in front of computer screens. These guys are dying to get aggression out. And then they're being bullied, whatever it is, and they come in, they know they can end it all in one shot. And what's the more powerful way? Well, let's go out there and shoot as many people as we can. And I just got demonetized right now, and I understand that. So nobody needs to tell me that. But what would it hurt? What would it hurt to let those guys get it out? And that'll be my BBB. I'm going to eat real quick, says Joker. That'll be my rant on politics for now. I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't think it will hurt the situation. Obviously, there's a lot more that needs to be addressed than just that. But we had the Bellator tournament, of course, in the wrap-up with the live. Matt Mitrione won a lackluster fight against Roy Nelson. Some people thought maybe it should have been a draw because of a 10-8 round. I don't think it was a 10-8 round. I still thought it was a boring fight. But here's the thing. Scott Coker, look at the product that Scott Coker has to promote. And he's getting 900,000, 800,000 people to watch because he's a better promoter. Dana has all the talent in the world. And what is he doing with it? You have that amazing knockout from Cowboy Cerrone over Anthony Medeiros. Derek Lewis knocking out Marcin Tybura. That was incredible. We could have possibly, what are the ramifications of that? Let's talk about that for a minute, though. Did Derek Lewis just set up a money match with Francis Ngannou? I would love to see that. And the other question from that UFC was there too much love shown between Yancy Medeiros and Donald Cerrone? A lot of people said it was like a hugging match. There's a little too much for them. Even almost became a kissing match. No, we're getting. Oh God, Adam. I'm not, but I'm drinking. But see, I'm even supporting the UFC sponsor today. I got Bud Light just to show my support. And what's Dana's ass doing right now? Counting his $900 million he got from the sale of the UFC from Zuffa. He should save a little bit of that for the $1.6 billion lawsuit that it's looking more and more like they might have been guilty of monopoly, and not just in the United States, but in North America as a sport. Dana's a Mason and always serves the machine. Poshula said, there was a boy at my school that one day punched another kid in the forehead and broke his hand. He screamed like a bitch. The motherfucker deserved it. Hell yeah, I did, RS. Adam says, I'm a couple steps ahead. Bud Light here too. Awesome. Nice. When is Don King coming to MMA? I miss him. Since we accept a corrupt promoter, we need to bring the best. You know, that's funny. I was thinking about that earlier today, that the way they promoted Mike Tyson, if it wasn't for the promotion, I mean, he was on network TV early. You had Customato, you had Don King, you had Teddy Atlas. You guys had, what's up, Cap? Thanks for tuning in, man. You had Cap's in the house, so you best behave or he'll cap you. But you had the best promoting him, and they turned him into a cultural icon. Cultural icon. What is the UFC doing? The last time I seen them really promote someone was Francis Ngannou. And they promoted him at the wrong time, as far as I'm concerned, when he was going up against the best. Stipe Miocic made him a favorite against the champion, and then when he fell flat on his face, what are they going to do now? Do they dump him? I don't know. But let's go back to the weekend wrap-up for just a minute. Nate Diaz. You see Nate Diaz in the audience for about 5 seconds, and he kind of stole the show. He had a joint in his hand on camera in Texas, of all places. Probably not the best place, but that just shows you the excitement. You heard the eruption of the crowd in 5 seconds when they see Nate Diaz's face. And I know the guy's been difficult to work with. Trust me, I know this, man. But who can sell a fight better than Nate Diaz? Get him in there, pay the guy. You couldn't make it just for the post-fight. Just for the post-fight, he's going to sell that next fight. And then hopefully we're getting Conor back in there now. Floyd's finally saying it looks like, you know, he doesn't really have an interest in MMA. Conor said he's going on to bigger and better things. He's glad the negotiations with him and Floyd Mayweather are over. Thank God. I hope they are forever. Stay away, Floyd Mayweather. Plants don't grow without bullshit. Don King. That sounds like something he would have said in private. Look at guys that came out of this weekend, though, like Curtis Millender. Curtis Millender came out and had an awesome performance. Nobody knew who the hell he was, though. So, everybody out there, go out and watch Curtis Millender. Guy did an awesome job. There you go. I did more promoting for Curtis Millender this weekend than Dana White, as far as I know. UFC turning into WWE, says Pulse Reloaded. Conor will get marked by Khabib. I don't think he will come back soon. I think he comes back, and I think he just comes back for that trilogy with Nate Diaz. I don't know what he does after that. Maybe he takes some chances with other fighters, but I think now that's probably his main concern. And honestly, I don't care. Let Tony and Khabib fight it out for the title, and I'll pay for Nate and Conor every single day of the week. It's a great fight. I've said it before, the second fight that I watched between them was one of the greatest MMA fights that I ever seen. If Conor's not interested in titles, let him fight Nate. Khabib gets dropped multiple times against Conor, says Adam Turner. I don't know. MMA should have a governing body. That would be great. People are talking about a union. They are talking about that $1.6 billion lawsuit. It's not going away anytime soon. The Zuffa is not getting away without paying something on that lawsuit. Trust me, if you know about it, look into it. I'm not going to go into it a lot. Conor's a lost cause, sadly, Adam. He is on coke. He is lost. I've said in the past that he has had the actions of someone that may be on cocaine. I have no proof of that. Here's the thing, though. Conor is a very talented fighter inside and outside of the cage. He is in his prime. He's not even 30 years old. He's dancing around on Twitter, fighting boxers, fighting people in other sports. Let's get him back in the cage and see what he can actually do. But can the UFC right its ship? Of course it can. What do they need to do? Put a story behind the face before the fighter makes the highlight. You see a knockout highlight, and it's like we might as well be watching Real Steel. Or we might as well be watching, you know, the guy on YouTube playing UFC Undisputed 3 with fighters, because we don't care about the people that are in there because we don't know them. RS, do you think the UFC paid Eddie Alvarez to not wrestle with Conor? I don't know, and I really don't want to comment on that because I don't know anything about it, honestly. Get rid of rankings, Pulse Reload said. I would never say get rid of rankings, but maybe start using them. He is young, yes, but his stamina is weak, e.g. against Floyd, Nate Diaz. Well, he started out as a 135er. He went to 145. He fought as high as 170. Then he came back down. We've seen issues with Roy Jones. Of course, he was a little older, but Roy Jones started at 160, went up to 168, won the belt there. Won the light heavyweight belt at 175. Then he went all the way up to heavyweight, knocked down a heavyweight, beat John Ruiz, won the heavyweight championship, came back down to light heavyweight, beat Antonio Tarver, in a close decision, by the way, though. Won the championship back again. Then he gets knocked out, I believe, 3 times in a row. His chin was never the same. His stamina was never the same. He's not the same fighter. So I don't know if that's anything going on with Conor. I don't think it is. I don't think it's as an extreme a case. But is all I will say is that's not good on your body. Yes, they need less fight cards, and let us get to know the ones that are there. I think maybe they need to get rid of the Fox deal. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but yeah, if you don't put a face to a name or name to a face, we're watching robot fighting. Excuse me, Cap. UFC don't know how to promote. They've only had so long to do it. Dana used to know how to promote. Does anyone remember? A lot of you guys might not have been watching the first Ultimate Fighter. And he walks into the room. You got some of the guys that would become the icons, the pioneers of this sport on the Ultimate Fighter, the very first season. And they were about to walk out because they didn't like the deal. They wanted more money. And Dana White went right in there on camera. And he pointed his finger in their chests. These men that he knew could kill them, no fear, said, "Do you want to be a fucking fighter?" He said it right on national TV, and he had passion, and he cared, and people could see it. And I haven't seen that in Dana for a long time. Like I said, when was the last time you seen Dana White smile, or act excited, or act like he's not pissed off about something? Feuding with his fighters, feuding with Tyron Woodley, making fun of Michael Johnson for passing out in an elevator, trying to make weight for him. These are the guys that are trying to bring you your bread. Come on, man. RS, we need to stop talking about Conor. The guy's fake hype. You want the real deal? Ryan Bader, queen out the Bellator heavyweight division. RS says, you right, Cap. I like the promo for Nagano. Such a sad ending for Francis. It was great, Paul. It was great. But that promo should have either happened earlier or it should have not been his promo. It should have been Stipe Miocic's, because how much easier of a guy is there to sell than a guy who's literally a superhero? This guy is heavyweight champion, full-time heavyweight champion, baddest man on the planet, and he's climbing up on your roofs and putting fires out, saving your children out of buildings. Come on, UFC. You're going to tell me there's not a story there? Thank you, Chad Beast. What's going on at RS? What is your fascination with Bader? Dana White is a scumbag. RS says, I never liked him and never will. He is in it just for the money. I'd like to think he wasn't always like that. I'm getting to the point now that I don't know anymore. I don't know. True, that should have been Miocic. He got sold short, said Paul D. And hats off to Stipe Miocic for pulling the belt out of Dana White's hand and giving it to his trainer to put around his belt. His balls grew 10 pounds that day. I mean, when you see the Grinch like falling down in the Grinch movie because his heart is growing, Stipe Miocic's balls were growing more. He fell back 10 feet on the camera when he ripped that belt out of Dana White's hand. He's like, bitch, please. That's honestly, that's one of my favorite moments in current MMA UFC history. I'm just going to give out, since I put this out, the promo kind of for this show tonight. I'm going to read a couple of your guys' comments that I really liked and thought were heartfelt. RS, I know you're on here now, but you said the UFC and Dana White are terrible promoters. They are only big because they bought all the competition. Nuka-Cola, are you out there, Nuka-Cola? Because I loved your comment. It's a little longer comment, but he says, I only see fighters calling out other fighters on Twitter, or at least trying to get fights. I thought that's what the promoter does, is promote. Gee, what a novel idea. He only promotes Rondas and McGregor's. He never promoted Aldo, who was the king, undefeated for 10 years. The sport of MMA happens at the dojo every day. Speaking the truth, holding it down, Nuka-Cola. He's right. Jose Aldo, 10 years undefeated. The king. You're going to tell me you can't promote that guy in Brazil? Paul says, I loved him snatching the belt off Dana. It was like a bit slap on live TV. Hell yeah, it was. And there wasn't shit Dana could do about it. And he knew it. DC versus Miocic and Jones versus Francis. Winners clash. I think that should be a co-card. That, you want to sell 1.5 million, 2 million pay-per-views? Put that on and hype the shit out of it. Next topic on the list is kind of, is this the end of the Fox deal? We're getting close to the end of the Fox deal. Is this a good thing? Kevin Lee fighting for Barbosa. Who you got? I got Barbosa, honestly. I think he might even finish Kevin Lee because his striking, not only does he have the wrestling, his striking is amazing. What if Stipe died in a fire alarm fire? And a 4-alarm pulse reloaded. DC versus Miocic looks weak. Sorry. I like the fight. It's hard to hype sometimes guys that are so nice. And it's been hard to build up DC because he's just a nice guy. And it took me a while to warm up to DC, but I love him. Kevin Lee's got world-class wrestling. I think it's going to be a repeat of what Khabib did. Good point. It could be, Cap. I don't think he's on Khabib's level, but he does have great wrestling. So it could happen. DC is no good. His weaknesses were exposed by Jones. Blatant telltale signs. Well, Jones was also like a foot taller. Of course, so was Stipe Miocic. So maybe. Kevin Lee is approving. He's going to take Barbosa down and ground and pound his ass. Quite possible. I think Barbosa is a more complete fighter, but if Kevin Lee's that much better of a wrestler, just like we've seen against Khabib, maybe it won't matter. You know, maybe it won't matter. But the end of the Fox deal, is this a good thing? Has this been a good thing? The UFC being on Fox anyways. I was so excited when it first happened, but are young people watching Fox? You built the Spike Network around the UFC. You put young people's programming on there. Some of the shows were super, super cheesy, don't get me wrong. The Man Show, whatever, Blue Mountain State. I think we've moved past that, but how do you get back the younger crowd? It's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. It's probably not on Facebook. You need to stay on Facebook, but Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, that's where the young crowd's at. And the UFC fighters know it. Cap says Kevin took Tony down 4 times before Kevin gassed. Yes, he did, and Tony's no slouch for sure. Maybe I got it wrong. Honestly, I hadn't given that fight a ton of thought, but now I'm not backing down from that prediction. I still have that. February 27th, though, we have Jon Jones has his PED USADA hearing in California. So mark that down. February 27th. We're only like 6 days away, 5 days away here in a few hours. It's his USADA hearing and it's his California commission hearing. Everyone thinks that both of them are going to go the same way. States in the past have always found with USADA. I have not seen a case in where they've won against them. And I don't see how they don't let Jon Jones come back in. And is this game a little fixed? Yeah, I think so. The UFC needs Jon Jones back. No doubt about it. They have no stars right now. They need Jon Jones and Brock Lesnar. They need that big pay-per-view. And then you can bring Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz back in there, and everybody's happy again. Maybe. Maybe not the hardcore fans, which is what Dana's abandoned. Excuse me, I've been having this dry throat. It's driving me insane. But Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar, that brings in over $1 million buys for sure. Is Jon Jones going to heavyweight? Really, Paul D says? Yeah, I think so. He walks around 240. He's a freaking bodybuilder. RS, before the UFC promoted more of their champions, GSP, Anderson Silva, Couture, Liddell. Right now, they're just investing on the superstars, Conor, Ronda. Guys like Miocic and DC don't have the exposure. What are young people doing right now? Right this minute, what are young people doing? They're out playing Call of Duty. What's Demetrius Johnson doing? He's out playing Call of Duty. Fucking promote him, jackasses. Are you kidding me? Sorry if you're on, Garth, and my language has got a little out of control, but there's some frustrating situations right now. They need to get Rory back, says Fred, for sure. DJ, yeah, I agree. DJ's easy to promote. He's charismatic. He's a good-looking dude. He's well-spoken. The dude looks like a freaking movie star. Are you kidding me? And then he likes video games on top of it. He's doing the promoting for you. Other companies are reaching out to him to promote him while the UFC's not promoting him. What does that tell you? I just don't understand. I'm talking about Garth at the Cosmos. Some of you guys that used to watch some of my earlier videos, one of my good friends, Garth, I actually met with him today. He's going to be doing the probably the Deontay Wilder boxing match with me. He knows he was a big boxing fan. He's excited about that fight. I hadn't talked to him in quite a long time, actually. Met today with him for lunch. And here's something awesome. Here's how we sell fights as MMA fans. I met with Garth, and he told me he'd be watching today. I don't know, maybe he's not commenting right now. But if you're out there, Garth, give us a comment. Just hit that live chat or top chat and comment. But we were talking today, and he doesn't know a lot about UFC. And I was talking to him about it, and he's very intrigued. I was explaining different things to him, how the channel's grown and everything. And I showed him he didn't know about the Nate Diaz-Conor McGregor fight. So we watched the end of that. And we watched that moment because he loves art. And I was showing him the mural of Nate Diaz in Stockton. So that got him talking about, he's like, and I told him, about the mic drop, the end, the whole line. The first thing he said, I'm not surprised, motherfucker. He's like, man, I want to see this. So we're sitting at the steakhouse, and he's watching it on my phone. I'm bringing it up on YouTube, and we're watching it on my phone, and I'm watching him light up, probably one of the first MMA matches that he's ever seen. And I'm watching him light up and just enjoy the hell out of this. And it's like I was experiencing it again. This is a sport. This is why these kind of companions work for MMA. They don't work for football and basketball, in my opinion. Fighting is the most entertaining sport on the planet because it's in our blood, especially as guys. All of us know, all of us have a time where we've wanted to punch somebody in the face. It might be every morning when you're driving to work, hopefully not, but all of us can relate to it. All of us have been probably bullied at one time or another. A lot of us have punched someone in the face. A lot of us have been punched in the face. We can relate to it. It's all you have to do is put it out there. And he was infatuated with it. What's up, Joker? DJ the GOAT, Cap says, for sure. RS, DJ is a freaking GOAT. He defended the belt 11 freaking times, and he's still young. Super young. Joker, it's not in your blood if you were bullied. Well, I was bullied, man, and I'll tell you what, one of the best days of my life was when I punched that bully back in the face. And I didn't even know what I was doing yet. But it was 2 weeks into a new school. And like I said, I was one of the only white kids. There was one other white kid, I think, in my class. He was half white. He was half white and half Mexican. And I was getting beat up all the time. I mean, every single day for like 14 days straight. And multiple people at one time. And this is in 5th grade. And these are tough dudes. These weren't your normal, So the toughest guy in the school, John Crispin. And just to tell you, this guy later went, and I know I just threw his name out there, but later went to jail for murder. became a good friend of mine, but he came up to me and was blowing me. Everybody was scared of this dude. And he came up to me and just put his hands up, and I socked him in the nose as hard as I could. And he kind of backed up and he kind of walked off. And I had some issues after that, but things got a hell of a lot better. So yeah, it's in our blood. Joker Nerd Bash. What's up, Red Hat? How's it going, man? Yeah, because as soon as you put glasses on, you're a nerd. Anyways, Conor was making $3 million in the UFC. When he was co-promoter in the Mayweather fight, he made $100 million. It's pretty evident the UFC keeps most of the money to themselves. That's another big part of it. And yet, these guys are still willing to promote themselves. Mike Perry, just this week, he's fighting on the card coming up this Saturday. He drove all the way to New York to be live in the studio with Ariel Helwani on MMA Hour. That's how much he cares about him. Over an hour. Great interview. I didn't know a lot about Mike Perry. He came from a troubled background. He still has issues with his dad. A lot of different things. I know a lot more about Mike Perry, but the UFC didn't do shit to promote him. He drove to fucking New York to be on the MMA Hour and interview with Ariel Helwani. He made it happen himself. Brian Ortega was on the Brett Okamoto show on his birthday a few days ago to promote his fight with Frankie Edgar. That's how much these guys care about promoting themselves. UFC on Fox, let's go. What's up, shut up and listen? You're right, Cap. I was a guy in high school who used to stop the boys from... By the time I got to high school, that's what I was doing too. Awesome, man. What do you think about the UFC gross underpaying the fight? I think it's disgusting. I think it's absolutely disgusting, and Bellator does the same thing, so they're not off the hook on that one. But those guys need to be making a lot more money. Coming up this week, though, we got Jeremy Stephens versus Josh Emmett. That's going to be a great fight. Of course, this card, if you guys don't remember originally, the reason it's on Fox is it was supposed to be Yoel Romero headlining the card. Then there were some injuries and things got shooken up. He was supposed to be facing, I can't remember the name, David Branch. He's supposed to be facing David Branch, and that got canceled. But now we got Jeremy Stephens versus Josh Emmett. That's a decent fight. A lot of people, Josh Emmett's got a chance to make a name for himself. Jeremy Stephens, already a big name with big MMA fans. But they need to hype these guys. They need to hype these guys. And then when you watch that incredible knockout, like Donald Cerrone of Yancy Medeiros or Derek Lewis of Marcin Tybura, people have a reason to root. They know what they're rooting for. I've seen one scene. RS, is it really her? Oh, God. On Rhonda doing porn. I don't know. I don't know where. Ed Dahmer, what do you think about the MMA holes going up? Yeah, I don't know. I will say something on that gives me another thought. I'm not going to answer that question directly, but that gives me another thought. You want to talk about promoting fights, and this is what I'm going to tell you what promoting fights does. And boxing gets it, and people on YouTube get it. You have two guys that I don't really know who they are. I didn't know too much about them, but they have millions of followers. They set up a fight. They sold out an arena in London, and they've had like 20 million views. Two YouTubers fighting each other. And you guys probably know who they are. I can't think of their name. What's up, Russell? How's it going, man? Now you have Floyd Mayweather training Logan Paul to fight the winner of this fight, and people are excited about it. 20 million people watch YouTube fighters fight against each other, and they cared. These guys didn't even know what they were doing. Imagine what you could do for straight up killers. Straight up killers. How are they not promoting a guy like Derek Lewis with that knockout power? Red Hat, when guys get signed, they get $5,000 to fight, $5,000 to win. When you think about it, after paying for your camp, you can't make much money. For sure. That's why they're working a second job. All of them. Give me an admin. Not yet, Paul. Yeah, you talking about KSI. KSI versus Joe Willow. Thank you. I couldn't remember their names. That tells you something, though. I'm an MMA fan. I have no idea who those guys are, but I know 20 million people watched them fight. Most of the people who watch that fight probably can't name 10 people in the UFC. Pulse Reloaded, Bellator paid a guy $500 once. I've seen that, and they still pay a lot of people $1,000. Red Hat Werther, RS MMA world has a lot of potential to grow to mainstream, but it has to have people on top that care about the future of MMA. Interview Phil and Crazy Horse. Yeah, for sure. And Scott Coker cares about MMA. A lot of people care about MMA. One guy I'm going to mention, video out there right now. I'm going to let you guys watch it. I don't want to repost this video, but a guy that cares about MMA is moving on in the Bellator Grand Prix, and that's Chael Sonnen. Have you guys watched his rap? He does a rhyme. He's in his car, and he does this awesome rhyme when he's talking about the tournament. I'm not going to repost it because I don't want to piss him off. I want to be friends with him. I want to have him on the show, to be honest. So I think Chael Sonnen would be one of the most entertaining guests of all time. So go out there after this, though, and Google Chael Sonnen rap. I thought it was pretty awesome. Coker better than Dana, says Cap. Who the fuck is KSI, says Pulse Reloaded. Exactly. Yeah, where is Azza? What about... Oh, my God. Let's not. CM Punk versus Mayweather. Let's try to pretend like this is a legitimate MMA show and not give that any credence. Sorry about that, but no, actually I'm not. But oh man, get a room already. Oh jeez, yeah, for sure. I could care less about those people. New weight classes coming into the UFC though. We've had so many weight classes missed recently. That's one of the big things I want to address right now. What do you guys think should be the new weight classes? I don't think there's a question of should there be new weight classes, but the question is what should they be? Thank you, Joker. Triple G or Canelo? Who you got? I got Triple G again. I thought he dominated the first fight. It was a horrible decision. I like boxing too. Triple G other way. It's a horrible decision, just like the one this weekend on Fox. And that's the difference in boxing. It's like they have these decisions all the time, and they know what they're doing. If that fight was scored properly, and Triple G wins like 5 rounds more than than Canelo. I mean, if he wins that 9 rounds to 3, do you think we're having a rematch on Cinco de Mayo? No. Add 165, add 225, says Cap. No, man, you can't read. I said weight classes should be like boxing. Okay, gotcha, RS. 225 is a good point. I actually had 195 down as first. 225 is another great point. You got 185 pounds... or 180 pounds, excuse me, to 205. That's a 25-pound weight gap. That's a huge weight division. Those guys are cutting a lot. You look at guys like Yoel Romero, Jacare Souza. Those guys are walking around very, very heavy. They could be heavyweights. So we do 225. We do 195. I think after that, you got that jump from 170 to 185. Or excuse me, you got the jump, the next biggest jump in percentage is 155 to 170. So I think you get the 162-pound weight class in there. And then thirdly, between 170 and 185, I would throw 178 in there. And I'm going to see what you guys have to say. They should make weight cuts like in one UFC. I agree. I completely agree, RS. Let people fight at their natural weights. So 165 and 195. College wrestling weights. Yeah, for sure. And there's issues with weight cuts in wrestling. But now in high school, like I know because my daughter's a wrestler, she picks a weight class at the beginning of the year, and basically that's your weight class. Unless you've gained a certain amount of weight, you don't get to lose weight to come back down again as you go through the season. And maybe that's not fair for the kid that comes in fat, but that's the way it is. And one of the girls on her wrestling team just won state. So congrats. I don't want to throw minors' names out there because people have gotten after me for that in the past. So I'm not going to throw her name out there, but you can look it up. Snohomish, City of Snohomish, Washington State wrestling champion, and she won it as female. DJ versus TJ or DJ versus No Love. There's a good case for both, and I like both fights. And I thought TJ should defend his belt immediately, and then I heard something he said. He said, when I lost a close decision, I had to knock out this guy and this guy and this guy, and I had to wait like a year and a half, 2 years. Why should Cody, after I knocked him out, be able to jump right back in there and get a title shot? Now, there's no other contenders for him in his weight class. So that's a very good point. Now, TJ goes down, he beats DJ. I don't know if TJ stays down there or not, but the Gambrandt fight, in my mind, just becomes bigger. So just chill out, Cody. You're going to get your bread, man. What's the problem with too many weight classes, Cap? That's way too many weight classes. 125, 35, 45, 55, add 165, switch 170 to 175, 185, add 195, 205, then heavyweights. F, no, TJ versus DJ all the way, says Russell. I agree with TJ. Same day weigh-ins. That problem, I'm going to tell you about same day weigh-ins, and I would agree with you, Fred, maybe, unless I was in Washington State. And I've competed in both boxing and judo here in Washington State, and I'll tell you what guys do. They have the same day weigh-in, and they just they still cut a shitload of weight, but then they don't have the time to rehydrate. When I was in judo, I didn't cut a lot of weight. I don't know why. I didn't lift a lot of weights at the time, I guess, when I was early in high school, until I moved up a weight class. But I was at 156. I dropped around at 160. I walked around at 165. In a week, it was easy for me to lose 9 pounds. By that day, I was right on, if not a pound under. But I seen guys losing a lot of weight, and in judo, they might be on the mat 15 minutes after weigh-in, and they grab a banana and some Pedialyte, and let's go. And I watched a lot of guys collapse. It was super unhealthy. So need a rematch for sure. ONE FC weight rolls are the best. I totally agree. Jones versus GSP. Oh, God. TJ is pathetic. Just hate his face. Two-faced snake. I'm not sure I'm his biggest fan, but I wouldn't mind seeing him fight against DJ for sure. Oh, jeez. Rogan's been doing the mushrooms again, apparently. All right, I'm going to get some UFC pick'ems up, guys. Have you guys seen in the description, though, there was a death in my family this week. And there was a murder in the family this week. And it was by another family member. And that, I'm holding that shrine in my hand right now. I'm going to hold it up. This is the first Wheaties box with a UFC fighter on it, an MMA fighter on it, ever. I'm going to hold up the camera so you can see. That's Anthony Pettis. I've been saving this since it first came out. 4 days ago, I walk into the kitchen and I see my mother-in-law holding a huge butcher knife up to the bag that's inside this. That's already been opened now. And now the bag is open. And she's holding a butcher knife up to it and saying, "Can you help me open the cereal?" This was sitting up on my fire mantle. This was not in a cupboard with food. This was sitting up on the mantle. My daughter comes in. She's almost 16 years old. She's going to be 16 years old in April, almost crying. She's like, that's part of my childhood memories. She killed this. I've seen this on eBay for $150, and I just had to out her here for murdering my memorabilia. I'm now making a new place for my memorabilia, and she's kicked out of the house. So that's just how I roll. She's not here right now, but we may let her back. Rogan, holy shit, what size pants you wear? Actually 36. I just have a big freaking gut. Sorry about that, man. Did you keep the body parts in your freezer? Send my love. Well, thank you. Thank you, Adam. I almost feel like I should play taps right now and have like a proper funeral. Maybe we'll have a funeral on another video for this thing. Peta Sweeties, who would want that, says Pulse. It's the first ever UFC guy on a box. That's why. I would have smacked that bitch. Trust me, I thought about it. She's getting back you for ruining her daughter's life. Oh my God, Joker. We may let her back like she is a dog in the ass. Showtime kick. Showtime kick, one of my favorite moments in MMA. Absolutely. Yes, he does. I got sweet chin music. So then I had something good happen a couple days later. I went to work. I told this story to some people. You know, I'm a retail manager. I was talking to the owner of the grocery outlet where I work and somebody in Coke. They were bringing in a promo for Monster Energy drink. They felt bad about the story, so I come in after telling the story to a guy the next day, and what's waiting for me, but I believe there's less than 1,500 of these that have been made. They're not for resale. They're made by Monster, and it's not the actual autograph, of course, but it's a stamp, and they're Conor McGregor Monster Energy drink gloves. So that kind of made up for it a little bit. That was pretty awesome. So thank you to Grocery Outlet, my boss there, and to Monster Energy Drink for the awesome gift. And I'll have them displayed in the background here soon as I can work on this background. My wife is working on a logo. So, and Wheaties are gross, says Pulse. Armbar is DJ's armbar is my favorite. That was a badass armbar for sure. Get a box of Bootios. Don't drink Monster Energy drinks. In fact, energy drinks will fook your heart up and blood sugar up. I don't drink Monster Energy drinks, but I'll take the gloves. Yeah, I know. Would have been nice if it was somebody different, but when it's all said and done, especially if he comes back and does some things in MMA, I mean, I think we may think about Conor a little bit differently than we do right now. Obviously, there's a lot of hate to spread around to him right now. Red Bull is good. Fuck Monsters. It's Rogan. They could have gotten someone better. That's they sponsored him though. Monster Energy Drink went out and sponsored him. They should have went out and sponsored. Why not go out and sponsor somebody like Cody Gambrandt when he was champion? Dude's got a great story. I mean, yeah, Conor was poor at one time. I understand. Yada yada yada. Whatever. Mike, do you watch hockey? There's some good fights in there. I do like hockey. I like it better live because I only care about the checks and the fighting. You don't see a lot of goals, but my favorite part of it is actually the checks. I go to the semi-pro team here. It's the Everett Silvertips, and they still let them fight for a long time, and they've set the boards low so when the guys get checked, they can actually get knocked into the crowd. So that's why I go and watch hockey. So yes, Dahmer, as you had to kiss MMA hoes in the mouth or kick him in the balls, what would? Oh my gosh, Kung Fu Rogan, McGregor is the biggest star on earth. Garbrandt has not charisma or intelligence. Monster sponsors T-Wood. Well, that's awesome. I still don't like Monster, but I like T-Wood. Conor's a stud. Don't hate, says Walfredo. He's got a lot of fans out there. And he brought a lot of you know, people that, a lot of mainstream fans to the sport. So, I mean, eventually, right now, I'm pretty pissed at him, but eventually I think we'll kind of get over it, especially if he actually fights some contenders. Like I said, he's still in his prime. BBRS. And I may give those gloves away if anybody is interested in the future in some MMA pick'ems. I don't know yet. But let's do some UFC pick'ems this week. I'm actually going to what I'm going to start doing is doing individual weeks on the UFC Pick'em, and I'm just going to make a new league until enough people enter and get into it. That way we can really get into it. Join MMA Newsroom's Pick'em League, though. I'm on there. I'm going to do a video of my picks later tonight. The UFC Pick'em on there right now is Fights of Friends. I'll probably change that tonight, though, so you guys can all get caught up. We should be playing Fantasy UFC. It's fun. You get to call the rounds. You get to call the knockouts. I love it. I think BBA hacked everyone YouTube account. Oh, hacked YouTube account. I love it. BB. That's great. He brought a bunch of idiots to MMA, says Joker. We need the useful idiots, unfortunately, though, to get the deals like the Fox deal and get as many fights as we have out there right now. I love that there's a ton of fights out there right now. Give any MMA fan $100 million and see how soon they get locked in a cage again. Oh, for sure. You can't blame him. Give me $100 million. Give me $100 million. You can throw me in there with Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. Put one of them on each side in the cage. 4-ounce gloves, no gloves. I don't give a shit. You give me $100 million, I'll take my chances that maybe I walk out of that cage alive with that $100 million. Woodley versus RDA or Nate. RDA's on the spot. Nate hasn't. I don't have a problem with promotion's sake giving Nate a fight, giving Nate some money, and giving him a fight against a guy that he's more evenly matched with. I think Woodley's a huge mismatch. The reason I like it is I would like to see Woodley get a big money fight. Where is BB anyways? T-Wood fighting on the DC versus Stipe fight card. That's going to be awesome. If you were saying, oh, jeez, Paul. Yes. Woodley GSP. That would be great. RS, Ireland is a country. Let's not do that. McGregor started doing well in MMA. The whole country got behind him. That's, yeah, I don't like to separate ourselves into tribes. I think we're beyond that. I wish we're beyond that. Of course, we still got the Republic thugs and the demon rats and all that other BS over there, but that's politics stuff. That's for another show. Darren Till is overrated, says Pulse. I agree for now, but I think there is potential. He's not as overrated as a guy like Sage Northcutt. He's actually done some things. I think we need to see a couple more quality wins out of him against good fighters before we really put a lot of stock in him. But like I was saying today, I talked to Garth of the Cosmos, old friend from a lot of videos. You can look up a video we tried to start. It wasn't super successful. It's called Conspiracy Theory Theater. We're going to try something like that again on weapons of mass destruction. But he is also a big boxing fan. He's also a smart, well-spoken guy, and he wants to do the Deontay Wilder boxing match with me. He's also going to come over for the UFC this Saturday, which will also be live at 5, the main event on Fox, to follow that. So he may jump in the camera a little bit and say a few things, but he's not real educated on MMA yet. Shouldn't you try... Oh God, Wilfred, that's brutal. It's not politics, it's countries. It's the place where you live, geographically speaking. Fair enough. Fair enough, RS. Pulse Reloaded at Mark S. 2 different weight classes. Jason Azevedo. UFC should promote women more because sex sells. Well, that's why they promoted Ronda. I mean, she was a good-looking girl. They promoted Misha a little bit. They promoted, look at the girls they promoted, though. It's the more good-looking girls, except for Cyborg. Paige Van Zandt, who's got about, as much talent as a high school wrestler. Zoltan, move camera to eyes at top third. Pro cinematography. Not sure. I just have a crappy setup right now until I take the top half off of my desk. You're going to see soon. I'll show you all of it. That's coming. I got to take the top half off of my desk. I'm going to have 3 monitors while I'm live streaming, so it won't be any more on the couch. Some better lighting, logo in the back. It's just it's more been a time thing than a money thing, but it's both. Yes, thank you, Zoltan. I appreciate it, though. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is it's more of a tilt. I don't know if that's better or worse, but yeah, Zoltan's got some great tips. Nunez won't be for long against Cyborg. Cyborg doesn't want that fight. She doesn't seem to. Rule of thirds, it's called. It's a great rule and it works. You're right, Zoltan. I just said the only problem on this tripod, I can't lower it anymore. I need to adjust things right here, so I have to do a tilt. So I'm not sure how that looks. I have Nunez in that fight. There's something that Chris Cyborg knows. There's something Amanda Nunez knows, I believe, that the rest of us don't. Because she called for that fight. She called Cyborg out. And a lot of people were kind of like, huh, what's going on here? And then Cyborg didn't want the fight. Her first excuse was Brazilians don't fight Brazilians. Now she's actually fighting the manager of the Burger King next to the Coliseum on her next fight before she gets the fight with Nunez. Pat her pockets a little more, I guess. Nunez faking sick against Shevchenko, killed her rep. She was on top of the world at the time. I don't think Gina Carano's coming back at all. She's making too much money in movies. Cyborg would KO Nunez. Oh, God. With her pants. Do you think that Fertitta Brothers sold the UFC at the perfect time? Yes, I do. That $1.6 billion lawsuit, though, look it up. Fighters actually have a really good chance of winning this that fought, I believe, between like 2003 and 2009, I want to say, when the UFC bought out Pride and Strikeforce. There's a lot of, they're going forward with this suit. They may settle out of court, but they definitely have a chance in this suit. They also monopolized MMA in Canada, and there's a deal that I know about between Canadian MMA that I'm not even allowed to talk about because of somebody I know. If you watch some of your other fights, some of the other shows, somebody from Canada, you might be able to guess who that is, but I'm not even technically allowed to talk about it. I swore to a confidentiality clause, and I didn't even get any money, but I know someone who was involved in a deal. That's all I'm going to say. In 10 years from now, UFC won't exist or not the way they're going. Zoltan says, I think they did. Could have sold slightly more if they got Fedor, MVP, and some other people on board. Possibly, but they got a lot of money. Mark S. says, should have had a division of jacked fighters. That would turn some heads. That's true. That's true. They brought in USADA now. They could have had USADA, they could have not brought him in before, had all these guys on steroids pumped up, brought the viewership up, and then sold. But, I mean, they got a ton of money. How's MVP? MVP, I would like to see tested against some guys in the UFC. It's hard to say yet. It's hard to say yet. Yeah, he crushed Cyborg. He crushed a few guys over there. Wait to see him fight Paul Daly. He's still kind of ducking Paul Daly over there in Bellator. MVP boxes now, but he did debut in boxing, but he's still doing MMA. Wilfredo, true. I want to see MVP in the UFC. He hasn't fought in over a year, though. Some kind of injury. Yeah, I think he's got sand in his vagina because he doesn't want to fight Paul Daly. That's the injury that I heard that it really was, and I've heard it's quite serious. Conor McGregor suffered from the same injury for quite some time. And anyone that is familiar with the sand in your vagina injury, it can be career ending. So, who's MVP, says RS. Porter, you think UFC and USADA work together and allow certain fighters to fight dirty like they did with Brock at UFC 200? I have to think that they have some kind of communication between each other. The Olympic committees, I know the International Olympic Committee, they were proven to be dirty as hell. I mean, they knew so many fighters were dirty, and they let them go. They let it go on. Watch the documentary on Netflix, I believe it was called Icarus, on a guy who infiltrated the IOC doping administration from Russia, and he's scared for his life to this day. But he went on Joe Rogan Experience anyways. Brave dude, and you'll see how corrupt those guys are. They don't, UFC does not hold a candle to the International Olympic Committee. Marcus, has your opinion changed on the Sage Northcutt fight last week? I think Sage lost. I can't remember what I said. I thought he was going to win. So, I mean, that changed. No, man, UFC is scared of bad reputation if too many fighters pop. For sure. Russian doesn't F around. No. And I'd like to see what Bellator has. Bellator, they got a ton of Russian killers over there. That's where a lot of these guys come up. A lot of people also don't know. I'm talking to Kyle Nelson from Canada quite a bit, that of course I had on the show, will be coming to the UFC on the next Canada show. He was talking about how many of those wrestlers come up from Cuba and Russia and train with those guys. And that's why GSP was able to bridge that gap so quickly. I mean, he had a lot of other great trainers, but he was training with Russians and Cubans who are, they're professional wrestlers, because there was no MMA over there. There was no professional leagues. They don't have an NBA, NFL, whatever. Those guys, that's their professionals. Most of you probably know, maybe some of you don't, GSP didn't wrestle in college or even in high school. And he bridged the gap in MMA and is now considered one of, no matter what you think about him, if he has a boring style or not, he was one of the most successful wrestlers in MMA history. No, man, who you got in the Rose versus Joanna rematch? I have Joanna. I think, obviously I have a lot more respect for Thug Rose after that first fight, though. And it could go the same way again. But I think Joanna's going to regroup. I think she probably took Thug Rose lightly, which I'm not sure why you do. But I think Joanna will win the rematch. Rose round 2 sub, says Zoltan. RS Vitaly Minikov. I think that's how he is called. He is a beast. I seen some video on there. You're right. That guy is freaking incredible. What about Pettis versus Chiesa? Pettis has fallen so far. Wait, Pettis versus Chiesa. Michael says, is this Sergio Pettis? I didn't see this. Maybe I've seen this fight and I don't remember. The way Rose was moving in and out was beyond pro. She's gotten so much better so quickly. RS, Joanna is going to win. I'm sticking with my European girl, Anthony. Yeah, and Anthony, I don't know. I don't know. I hadn't heard of the fight, honestly. So I'll have to do my homework on that one. Well, Alfredo, MVP made numerous ridiculous music videos clowning Daly. Pretty sure he wants to fight that fight. Daly has only said he's too big of a name for MVP, but after getting smoked by Rory, I thought they'd fight. But then he ran to boxing. MVP hasn't been inside of a cage in over a year. He can make that fight anytime he wants. Bellator wants that fight. Everybody wants to see that fight. Paul Daly has tried to get him to sign the contract. Paul Daly's had the contract in hand. I know MVP's made some videos. I don't think MVP wants to fight Paul Daly before he has to. Joanna will bounce back, says Cap. I agree. Anthony, Pettis post Wheaties and USADA is washed up. I love it. My poor Wheaties box. That loss will make you want to better. I agree. I agree, Cap. The boogeyman. Torres or Andrade? I picked Andrade in the thing, and I kind of hope for Andrade. And I know some hardcore MMA fans are going to not like me for this. I don't have anything against Torres, Tisha Torres, but as the sport moves forward, I like people that can finish. I like, MMA to me is kind of like sex. You better finish, or what's the point? The Boogie Woman, says Jason. I don't think Ioana will get better. I think she is the same, not evolving and stiff. Her best chance is early pressure, push forward. Actually, Brian Ortega on that interview with Brett Okamoto on the ESPN podcast said, I think I wrote it down because I wanted to remember this. He said, I wanted to distinguish myself from other fighters, so I decided the only way to do that was finish every fight. That's a fighter, and that's a fighter promoting himself the way the UFC hasn't been. I like Rose, but she's average, says Cap. I think she's gotten better. I did not think she was there yet. I don't know if she got lucky against Joanna. I did not think her skills were there yet. I thought they would get there eventually, and then when she knocked out Joanna, I thought maybe I was wrong. I don't know. William says, my point exactly about Torres. I think Torres and Andrade can both beat Rose, says Cap. Rose is nothing to be feared. I think Joanna's biggest tool was her confidence and ability to intimidate those girls. I don't think she'll be able to do that anymore. That's a great point, Wilfredo. She's great at playing head games. And good for Thug Rose for not buying into those. People don't know, if you didn't listen, she had a long interview on Joe Rogan. She actually talked about having, a lot of fighters have anxiety coming into fight week, but she has major anxiety. And then to go against somebody who's a bully, who's intimidating, who's in your face like that at press conferences and things. And I know she said how she handled that was she just ghosted her. Just completely wouldn't respond to anything at weigh-ins, at press conferences, on social media. And it really pissed Joanna off. Joanna accused her of not trying to sell the fight. I think by doing that, possibly she got in Joanna's head. What's up, Joker? Joker's in and out. Ryan Baber was born. Oh my God, RS. I think somebody hacked RS's account. Rose looks average physically, but her creativity, technique, and reflexes are very impressive. Cap, I'm not saying she's a bum, Zoltan. I'm saying there are at least 3 girls, maybe 5 girls who can beat her. Possibly on any given day, Cap. I think she has gotten better. I always seen a lot of potential in her, but I kept on saying not yet. And then she had some losses. I believe she lost to Jessica Andrade. I can't remember. She lost to one of the top. I think it was Jessica Andrade. But she's been getting better the whole time, so I don't know. What's up, Luis Ramirez? How's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. Grab a beer, have a seat. Stevens, Andrade, St. Preux, Perry, Alve, and Joban this weekend. Says Pulse Reloaded. I also got Stevens, Andrade, St. Pierre, Perry, and Alve, and that's as deep as I went into the card so far. Bitches be crazy, says RS. Cap, Joanna, Claudia, Andrade, Torres, Carolina can all beat her. Possibly. Pulse Reloaded are my picks. Do you think UFC would ever see a tag team match? God, I hope not. Are we not getting close enough to WWE as it is? Rose lost to Torres and Tisha Torres. That's probably why Andrade's name came to me. I was looking at their records when I was doing research, and I seen that she lost to one of them, and it was to Tisha, not Andrade. So that was You know, that'll be a good fight either way. Tisha Torres and Jessica Andrade. Like I said, I'd like to see somebody that finishes more than Tisha Torres, but I mean, she obviously doesn't have much of a future in porn, so maybe UFC is the way for her to go. Lost to Torres 2013. That was quite a while ago. They already have team fighting. I think it's from Russia. Brutal as F. I love Rose's personality, though. I do too. I love her a lot more after seeing her on Rogan. I'm glad Rogan's MMA podcast wasn't today because I really don't have the numbers to compete with him. Tag team, how would that even work? Are they going to jump off the top of the cage too? Oh, that would be incredible. Mark S., based on an entertainment view, do you think fighters should be penalized for boring fights? That's hard to say. If a guy's running away the entire time, maybe. Maybe if it's part of your contract. But you have a guy like when T. Wood and Anderson Silva both had this issue with Damian Maia. The guy was flopping on his back. So maybe you find Damian Maia and you don't find the other fighter. I don't know. That's hard to say because it takes two to tango, yes. But when you don't have someone interacting, that's also an issue. Team fighting is lame. Team with first to get knocked out is the team that loses. Training with Valentina Shevchenko has helped her so much. Oh, absolutely. Mike, have you seen the MMA Royal Rumbles matches on YouTube? No, I have not. I might play that as a video game, though, because it doesn't matter if regular fighting is fake if it's on a video game. So if they make a great Royal Rumble video game, maybe I'll check it out. MMA is one-on-one. Yo, Mike, I see the channel's growing. Hey, Stewie, thanks for tuning in, man. How's it going? Yo, Mike. Alfredo, it's called TFC. Lots of videos, YouTube viewers. I seen something like that. To be quite honest, I was horrified. I think it was like 3-on-3 on mats at the same time, like 3-on-3 or 5-on-5. I found it absolutely repulsive. I found it barbaric. And a step backwards for the sport. So that's my opinion on that. You know, my number one and number two things are always the safety of the fighter and the fighters getting paid fairly. And that league is neither one of those. What's next for Maia? Retirement, maybe? Why does he do some ABIs? Do the Eddie Bravo International Invitational? There's probably a few more money fights out there. I would fight in Brazil one more time if I was him. I mean, that's a sure payday. He's not going to win a championship. I don't know if he could cut the weight if he dropped down. But I don't know. Yeah, I think his career in the UFC is probably over. Why not do some EBIs and some other things like that? Mike, oh, God. Artist. Stewie Griffin and Mike, I hope you know there is 3 fake Stewie IDs. Yeah, I believe it. There's a few of them that acted a little differently, Stewie. So no worry. Maia has no motivation anymore. He has to retire. I agree, Cap. Maia retire. He had a good run, but he'll never be champion. Not in UFC anymore. Maybe go to Bellator. So maybe go to Bellator. Maybe that gives him some motivation that he's able to win a belt. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough motivation for Quentin Rampage to train, though. He looked abysmal against Chael Sonnen. Bellator is trying to make Tito versus Odell. He got as far as he could, though. He said, yeah. Pulse's Joker been here. Joker's been in here several times. Bellator's UFC's retirement home. And they're out promoting the UFC. Look at what they have to work with. Name 3 Bellator cards that have ever been exciting. 3 total cards. You got the Michael Chandler versus Eddie Alvarez fight. You got Michael Chandler versus Will Brooks. And what other exciting fight? You've had a few exciting fights out there, but Scott Coker hasn't exactly had a lot to work with. And I think he's done very well. I think I underestimated him. And I think he may be my guest within the next couple of months. So I think maybe that's why I'm kissing his ass a little bit. But no, I think he's doing a great job. And that is a clear rumor that I'm allowed to throw out there now, is that Scott Coker may be on the show. Not live or not in my house, but via Skype or audio. So I'm looking forward to that. That's Stewie Pulse. I just subbed. Thank you for subbing. Thank you, Pulse. Kimbo versus Dot. Oh my God, that was such a horrible fight. What's up, Comedian Genius? Robot penis is super distracting. Oh, I love it. You like that? Oh man, I'm gonna lose people very quickly now. Putin beats Trump by KO, then joke while sleeping. Oh, Putin. Yeah, that's why it's a bad idea to have world fighters fight for dominance, because Putin would just absolutely destroy everybody. Dude's an actual legit badass. He's a legit black belt in judo. He's a sambo badass. He might be a son of a bitch, but he's a badass on the mat. Kimbo Jr. I still have to see him fight. I'm going to look that up after this, actually. Zoltan says Bellator could be running at a loss of profits for a while, offering fighters a lot until they take enough leftovers from UFC. But will still be the leftovers gatekeepers. Won't overtake UFC, I don't think. Comedic Genius. Nah, man, it's humor. I got you. Yes, indeed. Putin is a bad mofo. Hell yeah, he is. I mean, he stole Robert Kraft's Super Bowl ring. And Robert Kraft didn't do shit. He stole Vladimir Putin. Read it online. Robert Kraft says he stole his Super Bowl ring in the White House, and nobody did shit when Obama was in office. So I'm not condoning that, but obviously Putin put some fear into some people. Mike, does that picture of Putin naked on a horse turn? Oh my God. Does Putin train with Khabib? I know he's a big fan. The bear was Putin in a suit, says Zoltan. That wouldn't surprise me either. So, guys, it's, 2 days after the deadline. We were all talking about the deadline. I wasn't here for him. The adpocalypse, the death of many, many YouTube creators was February 20th, just a couple days ago. A lot of people didn't think that I was going to make it to the 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours watched. I had my doubts myself. Thanks to you guys, I'm over 1,230 subscribers. I'm at over 6,000 hours watched because of these live streams that have saved my ass. So if you know anybody that's trying to make it on YouTube, I don't care if it's an MMA content, whatever the hell it is. I was given the same advice to Dutch guy over on MMA Newsroom, our brother channel. Live stream, live stream, live stream. Yes, you'll get the subs, but your minutes watch will go up insane because they're all counted. Everything. If you have 20 people in your room for an hour, you have 20 hours of watch time. Being interactive with people, that's what people want. So thank you very much for doing that for me. Kim Jong-il was dead. Kim Jong-un is not, though. 1 clean shot for Nagano or 3 rounds with Lesnar. Shit. That's a tough one. Can Lesnar punch me or can he just take me down? If that's the case, I take Lesnar. Otherwise, I don't need those huge hammer fists coming down on my head, so I'll just take the 1 shot for Nagano and get it over with. 49-1. Am I still fighting donut holes? Ask him. He's not interested. Trump seems like a biter, or grab your balls or shove it. Oh man, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. What female fighter in the UFC do you think has the best ass? I think she retired, and I think her name was Misha Tate. If country leaders fought each other, Alaska would rule the world in 2016. Hashtag Sarah, or 2006. Hashtag Sarah Palin the Beast. Oh my God. Best ass Misha Tate. Yeah, I agree, Luis Ramirez. I'm going to wrap... Holly Holmes, a nice looking lady too. I'm going to wrap this one up for the day, guys. Thank you very much. Do not forget to tune in Saturday at 5 p.m. I might be able to get Garth the Cosmos on the camera some. I'm not sure yet, but it sounds like he's going to be over there for that. And don't forget, we're doing that Deontay Wilder thing soon. So boxing is coming here. I'm super excited about the Deontay Wilder fight. I'm going to do my picks for the fantasy Watch the video. Everybody, please, please, please do your picks, because I'm going to come out randomly with prizes for people that do their picks that win. And that's all I'm going to say for right now. But get on there on UFC Pick'em, Fights with Friends, and do your picks. I'm going to do a video on that here pretty soon. And everybody, come at me. Betchko Hayes ass drives me insane. This is Jason Tisha. Bomb Squad. Oh, God, the Bomb Squad. Well, we will end on that. I will see you Saturday, guys. Love y'all.